Welcome to Digitally Creative. I'm your host, Vincent Ferrari, and joining me this week is someone who I literally just dragged in here kicking and screaming and didn't even ask her if she wanted to be on. I just told her she was going to be on at some point this week. Pulled her in by the hair, got her giggling the entire time. But I needed a week where I talked to a very good friend of mine, and who better as a friend of mine that I love chatting with than my good friend Claire Burgess. Hi, Claire. How are you?
Hello. I'm very well. How are you?
Good. I did some digging around before we started recording because I like to know this when people come back on for a second time. And I looked it up, and the last time you were on this very show was October 6th of 2021. So almost 2 years to the day since the last time you've been on.
Yeah, that's crazy. I'm sorry.
No, well, I mean, you know.
That's amazing though. 2 years. And like, where's that time gone? This year's been the fastest year of my life.
And it's not like anything's happened. I mean, it's not like, you've exploded and become one of the most popular YouTubers on the platform. I can't remember where you were, but you had just basically decided that you were going to lean into YouTube full time and do nothing else the last time you were on. That was like you were just kind of getting started, and you had started doing 3 videos a week. You had kind of you were basically deciding that this was your path. And 2 years later, you're at 104,000 subscribers on YouTube. So I guess whatever you decided to do was working.
Yeah, it paid off. It definitely paid off. It was a massive risk, but I think they call it the Great Resignation following 2020. I was part of the Great Resignation because I just couldn't go back in 2021 when they said, time to come back to the office. I said no.
I kind of like working for myself. It's
I was like,
nice.
I don't want to. I'll stamp my feet. And that was after 15 years. Like, it was an amazing job, an amazing career, but I just couldn't face going back.
What I love
changed for me in 2020, so I just couldn't go back.
What I love about your story though is you've hit this really big stride of success, and you haven't changed much. Like, you're still doing the same kinds of videos. You haven't
Sorry,
changed.
I just have to tell my servants to leave my dinner on the side. No, put it down. We'll reheat it later.
So now Claire has staff. But it's amazing because usually when people hit that growth spurt, they really go from, I want to say you were around 20 to 22,000 the last time I want to say that's the number you were at, somewhere in that neighborhood. And you just spiked up quite a bit. And you didn't make a major change to what you were doing. You just kept doing what you were doing and just pushed, like you were pushing other avenues harder. You were promoting yourself a little more, which I noticed. You do premieres now for pretty much every video. You have a Discord. You're really, but you didn't change your entire format, and all of a sudden everybody's like, oh, who's this Claire woman? It's like you just kept doing what Claire did, and you caught fire. What do you think it was that got you all the attention? I know obviously you put the work in because I've seen the work from both angles.
There's a few things. 2020 helped me massively because obviously everyone was at home and watching YouTube, so that helped me. The other thing that helped me was that TikTok was banned in India, so I got real popular in India, which is amazing. Love anything to do with India, especially the food. So I got a brand new wave of audience from India, which really, really helped me. And 2020 probably saw the most growth in my channel from the birth of my channel. And it's hard to say really, but it's weird because I don't want to change, as in I don't want to change, but then people who stay the same quite often become stagnant. But equally, I feel like I am aiming my videos at a particular audience. I want someone to watch my video and think I can make that. So I have had a few people like, oh, you need to up your game now, like not necessarily being serious, but they're all a little bit like, the higher you grow, the more you've got to up your game. And I'm like, I don't want to put a video out of something crazy radical that nobody's going to be able to make. I mean, let's be honest, I'm too lazy as well to do that. But no one's going to turn around and say, "Oh yeah, I'm going to go back home now and make that car out of resin." Like, I need people to watch that feel they can 100% go away and do what I've just done. And also, I've got an audience that have been with me from day one, but I'm getting a new audience all the time. And I'm constantly getting new people doing resin for the very first time in their life. So I just feel like I'm happy doing what I'm doing.
Well, the arc is upward, right? So as long as the arc is upward, you don't really need to change anything. It's working. That's the sign that it's working. You know, I've seen your community from the Discord. I've seen your community in your comments. People love you. And I think they love the fact that your stuff is approachable and you have a certain... one of your recent videos, I think it was last week, you dropped one where you accidentally put 2 of part A in one of the in one of the resin molds. And, you know, I was watching the video and I'm like, wait, what is going on here? And you're like, yeah, so don't do that. It's like, yeah, that's probably good advice to not do that. But I love that even after all this time, like, you see someone doing especially with resin, because there's a lot of things that can go wrong, but you see people working with resin. You never cover the warts. Like, you let the warts stay in the video. And I know that's hard to do for some people, but I do respect that you leave them there because it's like, hey, look, I've been doing this forever, and even I goof it up once in a while.
The problem is I goof it up all the time. So if I would say 99% of my videos have something that didn't quite go, like I always feel like the outcome is gorgeous and I love the outcome and I'm obsessed with the outcome, but there's always one little area that spilled off. There's always a little bit of where I've got to shave the edge with my deburring tool. There's always a little something that needs a bit of sanding. So there's never, if I waited until I got perfection, I'd have no video at all. I'd have no videos. It'd be like, bye.
I have a great deal of respect for that. And it's funny because my OCD kicks in when I make stuff, and it's like if it's not perfect, I get really, really antsy about it. So anytime you see me put something out that isn't like 100% perfect, people have to know that took a lot for me to even acknowledge its existence. So I admire the fact that, you know, you deal with it, and it's just like, I know this is, but you don't put anything out that looks poorly done. Like, even when you have your fails, like you've had a couple of videos where you're like, this isn't quite what I was looking for, but it's like, yeah, it's still awesome. You know, your fails are better than most people's successes, which I guess comes with the experience of having done this for as long as you have.
Yeah, I'm happy to hear that though. That they all look okay.
They may look better on camera than in real life. I totally acknowledge that, by the way.
Yeah, there are moments where I'm like, oh, I'm not loving it. And it's funny because I had a few videos in the summer go out, and it wasn't my cup of tea, and they were like requested videos, and they did so well, and I'm like, why is that? I don't even like it.
Okay, so let me ask you a question. This is going to ask you let's do some psychoanalysis on Claire here for a second. Is it that it's not good, or is it that it's not what you envisioned it being? Which may still be good, but it's not what you saw in your head as the end product when you were working on something.
It could be that I didn't necessarily like the outcome, or it was almost like a two. I've got it in my head sometimes that things I do sometimes are too easy, but that's me, like too easy for me.
Right.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think maybe people don't want to see this because it's real basic and it's real simple, but then I get a lot of feedback like, I'm just starting resin, this really helped me. And I'm like, okay, that's good. My ideas are definitely not radical. I do like to have a play around with lots of different bits, like making silicone inlays and polymer clay and air dry clay and all of these little elements. I like to make my own molds, but none of my molds would make it into a shop. Do you know what I mean?
Sure.
they're usable. They're totally and utterly perfectly usable for me.
Mm-hmm.
If someone said, "Oh, can you please make me one of them?" No, absolutely not. No, no.
You know what's
they're not
really
good enough. They're not good enough for that.
Really funny about you, like I know I'm friends with Steve McDonald. Steve and I are very close. Like we're really good friends. And Steve and you, whenever I talk to you about the things that you do, you almost talk about them identically. You're like the same person, just in different parts of England. It's so funny to me. Like, because I've heard him say very similar things. You know, things like, oh, yeah, that seems like it's too easy for me. But then someone says, thank God you showed me how to do this. And it's like, you know, or something doesn't turn out right. And it's like, oh, well, you know, I'm not happy with it. And somebody thinks it's the most beautiful thing ever. You know, you and him are very much alike that way. And it's kind of cool seeing another person in a similar space thinking a similar way. I kind of dig that.
That is cool. And I genuinely feel like a lot of us would feel that way.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of us would feel that way. There are some like incredible resin artists out here making all kinds of fantastical. But I've never felt that's harsh. I don't feel inspired by those videos to go and give it a go myself. Because I haven't got the space, I haven't got a workshop, I haven't got an airplane hangar to reproduce it.
Right.
I like to know that if I wanted to have a go at that, I could have a go at that. But yeah, that's cool to know. It's cool I actually don't watch Steve McDonald, but I don't really watch any resin artists on YouTube because I watch different things.
I hear that a lot, by the way, for people that do generally creative stuff on YouTube, is they don't watch the people in their space because you don't want to get polluted with other ideas from people in the space. Like you don't want to get kind of to a point where you're imitating everything you see. You want to kind of just do your own thing.
Yeah, there's that as well. And I get it. Like you can definitely look into loads of people's channels and see things that you've totally seen somewhere else, but that doesn't even mean that they've been over there and seen it.
Mm-hmm.
Because the same ideas can come.
Parallel thinking. Thinking's a thing.
The danger for me is that I would never, ever come on a video and say, this is 100% my idea. I thought of this. I designed this. You've not seen this anywhere else. I just wouldn't do that. So, and I think we're all the same in that respect.
Mm-hmm.
Most artists, I think if I came up with something, I would say something along the lines of, oh my gosh, I had this amazing idea. I don't know if it's been done before. It probably has.
Right.
Because the chances of me having an original idea are slim.
But you're very good. You're very good about that on your channel. You do credit the people that inspire you to do things, or if somebody's, mold design or an idea for a mold or a technique that they've used. You are very good at making sure that they get the credit they deserve too, which I hate to say it, but especially in this space, a lot of people, they won't say that it's an original idea, but they also won't give credit to where the idea actually came from. You're pretty damn good about that. I do. There are names that I've found through your channel, so I do appreciate the fact that you do give credit where it's due when something is inspired by somebody else. So I like that about you.
It is so important, and genuinely, if I've seen something somewhere, there have been a couple of occasions where I've seen something somewhere, I've seen it on TikTok, you're scrolling TikTok and you're like, oh, I'm going to try that. Oh, it's gone. Who was that? And you can't give credit because they've gone. And I will always say, I saw this somewhere. I am so sorry I don't remember the creator's name, but this is definitely not my original idea. Claiming that something is yours it's for clickbait. It's very. If you see a lot of clickbaity titles, it's because it's for clickbait. If you're like original idea, the chances are you'll watch that video and be like, oh, I've seen that somewhere before. Like I've seen that somewhere before. And I've had it on my channel. Everyone's like, that's not original. That was done back in 1712 before resin even existed. And I'm like, okay, all right.
Do you feel
so
more
I'm
of an
always careful. I'm very careful when I say things like that.
Do you feel more of an obligation to be more careful now that your channel is a lot bigger than it was when we first started chatting. Like, do you feel like you have more of an obligation to, A, to be more transparent about where your ideas come from, and B, more about, like, not trying to look like you're stealing ideas from smaller channels? Like, do you feel more of an obligation now than you did in the past, now that your channel's bigger than it was?
I do think it's important to be honest, and I do think it's important to be totally transparent. I also think I get on a lot of people's nerves because I'm so, like, PPE driven, and I know I'm upsetting people. I know I am. I know I'm upsetting people. I've heard it through the grapevine, but I don't care. You know, and I'm one of them that I think it's important to be honest about everything, especially, like, everything I do on my channel is either inspired by something, or it is a genuine idea that's come to my head, and I will Google it. I will Google it to see if it's been done before. Because if it's all over YouTube, then that's just going to look like I copied and didn't give credit.
Sure.
Do you know what I mean? And there are some times where I think of something, like I did when was it? I think it was Valentine's Day. I did this thing using cellophane in epoxy resin. Cellophane in epoxy resin is not new. People have been doing it for donkeys, and everyone knows that. So, but the difference is I was using imaged graphic cellophane party bags. That I've never seen.
Right.
That I've never seen. So I searched and searched and searched. Couldn't find anything. I used a cellophane party bag with these hearts all over them. Most people use cellophane in resin to give some kind of holographic, reflective result. So I did say in that video, this is a first. Sometimes you've got to be brave. Do you know what I mean?
Just put it out
I
there.
said, you've never seen this before. And I did get a few comments saying cellophane in resin is not new. And I was like, I know it's not. Cellophane is not new.
Right.
But party bags, tell me where you've seen it before. So sometimes you have to be a little bit, like, you have to own things.
Of course.
But it's a tricky line. It's a tricky line. But yeah.
The raindrop, I remember when the raindrop technique, when everybody started doing raindrops until they realized it ruined their molds, and then they stopped doing them again. But I remember when that was coming out, and everybody's like, oh yeah, I've discovered this new technique, and like 50 people discovered this at the same time. It's like nobody was given any credit. Nobody knew where it came from. Nobody knew anything about raindrops. And like I said, the only reason it actually stopped was because people realized it was completely wrecking the finish on their molds.
Yeah.
But
But that's the thing, like, everyone, including myself, I did the raindrop technique, and I gave full credit to TNR, and everyone, like, said, like, it was TNR that came up with this technique. And it turned out that my other good friend in the Lion's Den, crafting in the Lion's Den, she'd done it a year before.
Wow.
But her video just didn't have that many views. So then someone said, oh, Crafting in the Lion's Den did this last year. And I was like, what?
Okay.
Because I know she. I was like, she? Well, let me go check. And she had done it the year before. So, like, obviously then a couple of people had mentioned it to hand on heart, TNR had not seen that video. So this is the issue as well. Like, you can both have the same kind of creative ideas, having never seen it before, but it's been done before. It's a tricky one.
Well,
I don't let it worry me too much, though. I don't let it worry me. I know what I know, and if I know I've seen it somewhere, I'll say it. 100% say it.
Well, creativity, Jimmy DiResta has the perfect philosophy about this, but he says that creativity is basically the product of your inputs, like your inspirations and your inputs. And if you have the same inspirations and inputs as another person, chances are your creative work is going to be similar to another person, even if you've never met the other person. So, if you and I both read the same books, watch the same TVs, follow the same YouTube people, the work that we put out, there's a pretty good chance that our inspirations will almost guarantee that we're going to have some kind of parallel thinking. And I think when you're working, particularly with resin, it's not, let's be honest, resin really breaks down to take your resin, put it in a mold, put something in it to make it look like anything other than clear resin, and let it cure, demold it, and talk about how cool it is, right? Now, what is the difference? Well, the difference is, what did I put in the resin? What pigment did I use? Did I do some crazy technique for painting it? Did I put lights in it? Like, that's what makes it different. But if you're watching a lot of stuff in the space, or if you're in a space even, yeah, you're going to have parallel thinking. Parallel thinking is part of the game. It's just the way it works.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. It is. It absolutely is. And there's no getting around it, that the resin world in YouTube is quite small, really. There's everyone knows, everyone could count on both hands the YouTube resin artists that are known by everyone. Everyone. So, and I think they are the ones that are getting a lot of the follows, and you know, they're inspiring so many people. But yeah, ideas come and they're the same. It's the same as songs. Sometimes you'll hear a song that sounds like another song.
There's only 88 keys on a piano. That's it's somebody once said that to me and said there's only 88 keys on the piano, which is what you do with those 88 keys that makes all the difference. I'm like, damn, that's pretty deep. Like, when you think about it, 88 keys made 88 notes, essentially made every song that's ever been written in the history of songs. Like, 88. That means,
and yet there's new music every single month, week, day.
So you are not just doing resin anymore. You've decided that you didn't have enough of a workload, and you created a second channel called At Home with Claire.
Yeah.
Because God knows, Claire, you can't just do one thing. God forbid. So,
I don't know what I was thinking. I don't know how I'm fitting it in right now. Yeah, so basically, Claire's Crafty Corner started as a home channel.
Way back in the old days.
Way back. When I literally started my channel when I was 40. And it was just going to be a few little home DIYs, a few little upcycles, a little hobby on the side, and sharing the things that I make for the house. And like, it kind of started to evolve, and then as soon as I reached 200 subscribers, I was like, oh my gosh, there's people watching I don't know. Like, I don't know 200 people. That means that people outside of my people. And that's when I, like, honestly, 200 subscribers for me, I remember the day. I remember where I was, I remember the day. And I remember thinking what a big deal that was, because I had people outside of my people watching me. And that's how it kind of, like, started to grow. But then I evolved into the, like, the hot glue crafting, you know, the traditional glue, scissors, hot glue, burlap. Or we call it Hessian. Crafting. And I loved that as well. But then someone suggested I try resin. And I was umming and ahhing, and then I was like, okay, I'll try it. And I tried it. And I filmed my beginner's video, like first time me ever using epoxy resin. I fell hook, line and sinker in love with it immediately. And I even said in that video, oh, don't worry, this isn't going to be a resin channel.
That was 4 years ago, by the way, that you did your first resin video.
And look at the views on it. That video was my first, well, it wasn't my first big hit. My sock gnome was my first big hit.
5.3 thousand views 4 years ago today.
How many?
5.3 thousand. So 5,300 views. For Resin Art Absolute Beginner, No Rules, Go With The Flow. That's the name of the video.
No. I've got a resin for beginners.
Oh, there it is. Yep, resin jewelry for beginners. First time trying resin. Wear proper PPE. That's the title of the video. And 664,000 views. That's the one.
Wow. That's the one. Yeah, that blew up. It just blew up out of anything I could ever possibly imagine. I only had, I think, about 8,000 or 9,000 subscribers at the time. And that video literally catapulted me into the world of resin head first. No headgear to protect me, and that was it for me. That launched. I mean, it was lucky because I did fall in love with it, but that's when I started getting contacted by companies, and I started working for Craft Resin, and then I started working for Hemway, and it all just snowballed, and it is become what it is today. Hence, new channel. I've always still wanted this. I still had this kind of craving to do all the home stuff. And you, as bad as it sounds, you really can't mix two. You can't mix the both. Sorry, let me put him down. Come here. You can't mix the two. And a lot of people were saying, oh, don't set up a second channel. Just do it on this channel.
No, you definitely shouldn't do that. No.
And yeah, you can't. It's going to literally plummet. Like,
yes.
It will plummet my views. The algorithm will hate me. YouTube will be like, what's happening here? She's not doing so well. And for those of you who aren't on YouTube and don't know about YouTube, every single time you put out a video, it's like you get a report card. It throws you back to being in school. And you get this little report card on your phone that says, oh no, this hasn't gone so well, has it? What do you think is wrong? You're like, I don't care. Don't tell me what to do.
Burn the witch. I don't care.
Yeah, I don't care. And I try not to look. Because every now and again your channel will slump. Like my channel slumps in the summer. Has done, always will do. It just goes down in the summer because everyone's on holiday. Back to the home channel. Sorry, I do go off on one. But that's why I didn't want to mix the two, because even wood turning, like, sorry, my hair's gone wild. Even wood turning, obviously I started turning. I love turning, but those videos were crashing my channel.
Well, yeah, because people don't look at you for that.
Exactly.
And the algo, once you break your typical video, they don't know who to recommend you to anymore, so they just don't recommend you to anybody.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I stick to what I love, and I stick to what I know that everyone wants to watch. Luckily, I've kind of wangled it now. So I've got quite a nice audience for epoxy resin, Jesmonite, air dry clay, and polymer. So whichever one of those I do, my people are there to watch. I do get some people literally saying, I don't even do any resin or Jesmonite and I watch you. I'm like,
those are your best. By the way, those are the best people for your channel, because they're going to watch whatever you put up. Those are the people that love you. That is something, and I always use the example of Evan and Caitlin. They had this same discussion. You know, they used to be very project-based, like single video, single project, single video, single project. And what they ended up figuring out is they didn't want to be that. They wanted people to come back to their channel because they loved them. And yeah. Once you cross that line where people are coming to hear you, see what you're up to, you got it. You're good. You don't have to worry about. You definitely don't have to worry anymore about who your core audience is. That's your core audience. The other people are gonna. If you get a strong base of those people, everyone else coming and going isn't going to have a huge effect on you. So it's interesting that you're seeing that happening organically, just as you're doing the things that you do.
I do genuinely think I've got the best gang of people that no matter what, they're just there. And even with Patreon, I'm just about to hit 100 patrons.
That's fantastic.
Little brag. Not a brag. But that is something I never had the courage to set up. And as soon as I set it up, it snowballed. But the other thing with Patreon is I've got people on my Patreon that don't even really interact. They don't watch all of my videos, and even on Patreon have reintroduced the chat function. They took it away, and it's just been reintroduced literally a week ago. And I have got people in my Patreon that simply just don't engage. And when I say like, oh, is everything okay? You know, blah, blah, and they're literally just like, we just want to support you. We just want to support you. Really not bothered about the rest.
Yeah, I don't need the rewards.
The best, honestly, I've got the best group of people, like the best group of people. I couldn't ask for a better audience.
It's really cool to hear you say that, because I think that's one of the things that you have going for you, is that you do have a core group of people and you truly do love your audience. Like you get suggestions, you get feedback, you get molds and stuff sent to you by your people. It's like, I also like how many times I'll see you. I know I mentioned it before, but like I've seen you and is it Melody from Toon Pish? Is that her name, her real name?
Wendy.
Wendy. Sorry.
Yeah.
But I see you and her have a really good relationship where she mentions you all the time, you mention her all the time, and it's like you've really kind of branched out to just being like, you know, Claire's Crafty Corner to being like Claire's Crafty Corner of the world. Like, it's just, I see your name popping up in other people's videos, and it's just like, wow, this is the textbook example of what you want to happen. Just growing organically with like-minded people who are also, you know, in your space and cool people.
I think growing organically is the best way for me personally. Not everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Some people love to blow up overnight. I know for a fact I would rather go at this pace. I would rather grow the way I'm growing. I say slowly. Compared to other channels, you know, there's a couple of people I follow who have already got to 100 in 6 months.
Mm-hmm.
So I say slowly, but I'm happy at this pace. Do you know what I mean?
Sure.
And I know a couple of YouTubers who have passed the 100k and a couple of YouTubers who have had viral videos. They're quite damaging, actually. They genuinely, a viral video, everyone dreams of going viral, but the reality for your channel is it makes you a one-hit wonder.
You're almost guaranteed to be a one-hit wonder because you're not going to replicate that in your next video.
Yes.
Yeah.
So your algorithm says, oh my gosh. But the reality is, for the next 20 videos, you're getting that little message from YouTube. Oh no.
Yeah.
What's wrong with this one? What's wrong with this one? And that's going to go on and on.
There's nothing anywhere near as demotivating as YouTube showing you, of your last 10 videos, this is 10. Like, it's like,
yeah, literally.
Ouch.
Literally. And it's, I do try not to look. At the moment, you're either in the green or you're in the black.
Mm-hmm.
You're either in the green and it's just tick.
Mm-hmm.
Well done, this video is performing as usual. Or you've got a green arrow up saying more views on this one. Or you've got a black arrow down saying, oh no, what's wrong? You know, and I try as best as I can just to not look. Because as soon as I get an arrow down, I'm like,
oh, what do I have to change?
Like, what is wrong? Like, what did I, like, is it a public holiday? Are the kids off school? Are the schools closed? Like, the schools are closed now here. So I'm just like, maybe my views this week will be lower because the schools are closed here. So I'm always...
That's an interesting thing that you're not... That you've had this level of growth and success. See, this is something I feel like if you're listening and watching this right now, take this away from what Claire is telling you. She's not obsessing over the numbers. This is something that I think people do. They obsess over the numbers. They go crazy over the numbers, but you're not doing that. You're aware of the numbers, but they're not driving what you do. You're not going, okay, this video didn't hit the way I wanted it to. What do I change to make it hit the way I want? Like, no, it's like, okay, that one didn't go. I mean, if you had a string of 2 months where performance was just complete trash, I'm sure you'd probably start rethinking things a little bit, but that's not the reality for most people. You have hits and misses, and sometimes when you produce 2 or 3 videos a week, it's in the same week. So you don't want to be bouncing around all over the place trying to find yourself with every video. It's just kind of...
No, but that is the reality of YouTube as well, that I feel like this is what I feel most strongly about, and this is something that no one else will admit, and that is that numbers don't matter. Like, I genuinely feel it in my absolute core. The fact that I've got 104,000 subscribers, all that does, and I mean this, all that does is it gets me seen.
Mm-hmm.
That gets me free resin.
Right.
That gets me affiliate deals. That gets me ambassadorships. That's it. Which, by the way, I'm mega grateful for. Don't dump me. I love you. But the reality is, and a lot of people they either don't realize it or they don't think about it. And people that are actually experiencing it don't want to talk about it. That out of 104,000 subscribers, 100,000 are not watching me. They don't watch me.
Wow.
So it looks great that I've got 104,000 subscribers.
Mm-hmm.
And my videos are averaging anywhere at the minute between 5 and 10,000, depending. A couple of videos ago, I got 3,000. That's fine. I'm averaging anywhere between, let's say, 3,000 to 10,000 views per video. 60% of people that watch me are not subscribed.
Wow. Wow, so that means even with those numbers, which are already lower than your subscriber numbers, most of your views are coming by means other than the subscription page.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's shocking.
So, even though I am so proud, I don't want anyone taking away from this that I am not grateful, that I am not grateful every single day that I get to do this, and that I am not proud. I'm so proud. But the reality of having 104,000 subscribers, for a lot of people, you'll see people out here with 200,000, 300,000 subscribers, 50,000 views per video. That's 250,000 people not watching you. Do you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So I've always felt like, I know I've reached 104 and I'm mega grateful, like crazy grateful, but I still feel like I'm as big as my views. And I will say that to anyone, because I know a couple of people out here that their only goal on YouTube is to reach 100k. And to me, that's the wrong goal. I never had that goal. I never thought for a second I'd hit, not even a second I'd hit 100k. Not until I got to maybe 70, and I was like, oh, I might actually hit 100k in my lifetime. It wasn't my only goal. I didn't start YouTube to hit 100k. That's not the way to start. Genuinely, it's not the way to start YouTube. You've got to start YouTube because you love it and you want to do it and it's fun. And if you set out with this mindset, like, I got a message, I'm not kidding. I don't want to come across as someone who is not grateful for.
Oh no, I'm fascinated by this, because look, this podcast started in May of 2019, and I've never had anyone open up about their numbers the way you are, and I think it's fascinating, because I think it's something that a lot of people who are trying to get started with it need to hear. So please continue. I'm absolutely riveted to this. Like, I'm like, tell me more.
Okay. To put it into perspective, my new home channel that you mentioned, I've set up a new home channel because I guess my part-time hobby on YouTube became my full-time job. Therefore, I had no hobby. Mm-hmm. So I set up my new home channel in the hope that I could get back to that first initial love that I had. I've got 2,000 subscribers on my new home channel. Mm-hmm. And every video on my new home channel has hit 1,000 views.
Wow.
So I'm getting 50% watching me.
That's
I
wild.
have never, ever had that on Claire's Crafty Corner. Never, not ever. Never. Never. Did I say never?
Wow. That's exceptional, actually.
It is. So my brand new channel is doing better theoretically than Claire's Crafty Corner. So I just want people to put it into perspective that it's not all about these massive numbers. And remembering, you get paid per view. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So if you reach 10,000 subscribers or 5,000 subscribers and every one of your videos is getting 5,000 views, you're earning more than someone who's got 104,000 subscribers and gets 4,000 views per video.
Right.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Your subscriber, the value of the financial value, I should say, of an individual subscriber is way higher when you have 50% engagement from the people who are subscribed to your channel.
Yes, exactly that. Wow. Exactly that. And my new home channel, I'm like, I cannot believe I'm getting 1,000 views per video. Claire's Craft, listen, when I hit 70 views on a video 6 years ago, I was like, 70 views! I don't know 70 people! I was losing my mind with Claire's Crafty Corner.
You know,
it was years before I hit 100,000 per video.
I'd love to say if you could go back to Claire from 5-6 years ago and discuss where you would be today, what would you tell her to know that it was going to work out? But I don't know. Just the fact that you haven't changed what you do kind of tells me you already knew you had something. You just needed to ride out. You needed time. You had the effort. You had the content. You had the ideas. You just needed the time to get to where you are. And once you got to where you are, you start to realize, like, yeah, I had the right idea. I was doing the right thing all along. Like, did you ever feel at some point like, I need to make a hard pivot to kind of catch lightning in a bottle a little bit? Or, I mean, obviously we've seen what you've done. I can only say this, 'cause I've been watching your channel pretty much since the beginning. So I kind of have seen you kind of stay steady. You know, your videos have always kind of been, I know your hands, but I knew your hands better than I knew your face for years. Do you ever think like, oh, I would have changed that probably? Or is it just like, no, this was pretty much the way it had to go down? Like, would you have done anything that maybe, do you know anything now that you didn't know then that you think would have made you grow a little quicker? Do you think it would have got you a more engaged audience? Did you kind of figure out what the turbo button was, or was it just like, no, not really, it's all kind of the same?
There's a couple of things I did differently for my new channel.
Okay.
Launching a new channel. There's definitely a few things I did differently for launching a new channel. 6 years ago, it was just a hobby. So I genuinely didn't put much thought into it. I genuinely didn't sit down and think for weeks or months ahead, I'm going to set up a channel. That all happened just the way it happened. And I think everything, I truly feel very like, what's the word? Serendipitous. Everything is just serendipitous.
Mm-hmm.
And everything is the way it was meant to be. And I think let's say I really blew up 4 or 5 years ago, pre-2020, I wouldn't have quit I don't know what I would have done. I don't think I was ready at that point to just quit my job and just go with the flow and take a risk and take a jump. And that Claire was a completely different Claire to the Claire that came out of 2020 alive. My life changed in 2020. I'm not going to say anything, but I still haven't caught it. But my life in general, my outlook on life, my feelings about workplaces and bosses and money changed entirely in 2020. And when I quit my job to do YouTube full time, I was taking home 1/3 of my current salary at that time. I was not earning enough to do it. I couldn't even pay half the bills, like literally. And I remember saying to Tim, like, I genuinely don't believe I can go back. And that wasn't just me saying, I want to chase my dreams. No, my anxiety, I couldn't even think about going back. My anxiety was too high. And he it's not a given, but he was earning more than me at the time. So he just said, and he still does, he just said, you do what you've got to do. And I said to him, I do 2 videos a week. If I quit my job, I can do 3 videos a week. And at the moment, I'm earning this. I could earn this. And therefore, the only way is up, isn't it? The only way is up. Yeah? That's how I felt about it. The only way is up. And at that point, I thought, if I do 3 videos a week, I will earn half the bill money. I will earn 50-50. And that was all that mattered to me. Obviously, Tim was just like, don't worry about 50-50. You don't have to worry about 50-50. He earned more than me. So we had that going, but I had his support as well. I didn't just want him to think after being together 15 years at the time that I was just gonna quit my job, not work, lay around. And I was like, I will work so hard. He was just like, do it. Best day of my life. I was like, dear boss.
I'm out.
Yeah, but the best thing about quitting your job, I need to come back to the other thing as well, because I've got a thing about the views and the subscribers and the view count and the messages I've been getting. But going back to like quitting your job, when you quit a job and you're not going on to something in the same field, or when you quit a job and you don't need references, it's the best feeling in the world. that was probably a better feeling than anything else. Like knowing that I'm quitting to do something to become self-employed, and I didn't need to ever go back and say, "Hey, can you write me a reference, please?" I mean, that day might come. Who knows, right? The bottom might fall out of the YouTube world, and I'll be back like a proper grown-up in a proper job.
A proper grown-up.
In a proper job. What do you mean? But yeah, coming back to the views and the. Again, this is where I was saying I don't want people to think I'm ungrateful in any way for all of the opportunities that have been presented to me, because I work with, obviously, Molds and Shapes. Oh my gosh, incredible.
Mm-hmm.
I work with, and I'm no longer affiliated with a resin company, because it got to the point where I was absolutely busting, itching to try more resins. But I was stuck in to Vista. And it did get to the point earlier in this year where I was like, I was getting emails from, like, J Diction and Just For You Online and Craft Resin, and I was like, thank you, but I can't. Thank you, but I can't.
When I saw the Let's Resin stuff on your channel the first time, I was like, what?
Why was I doing that to myself? So I was like, I'm so sorry, guys. I'm itching to try more things. I know I'm not allowed to show other products. Therefore, I can no longer work with you. And oh my gosh, has it been amazing. I can use whatever I want now. And I know for a fact I won't tie myself in. At least not yet.
There's no reason. There's no reason to yet. Like, no. You haven't hit that point where there's a reason to.
Yeah.
That's great.
The messages sorry, I keep going off on one and forgetting what I was going to say. I got a message not long ago, and I get frustrated with if I feel helpless, or if I feel like I need help. I'm not very good at asking for help. With just little things like and if I see someone, say, around me who I think they can absolutely do that, but they're gonna ask for help. This kind of learned helplessness, it gets my goat. It definitely gets my goat. I'm not very good. And if I need to ask somebody for help, I don't like it. I really don't like it. I would rather struggle. I would rather Google, like, absolutely Google, like what you just said, lightning in a bottle. Never heard of that. Let me Google American phrases. Like, because I don't know what Vincent just said. Like, clueless. But, so what happened is not long ago, I got some, it was around about the Christmas in July collaboration, actually. I got a couple of messages from early new channels, and I am all about promoting new channels because I can. And I now run these collaborations throughout the year to encourage not just new channels, anyone, to encourage people from all over the globe to come in and join in with the collaboration. We literally just had one at the weekend, the Halloween one. And I got this message from this woman who said, literally, not even hello. It was like, Claire, I've set up my new channel, but I've only got 800 subscribers. Can you please do me a shout out? And I said, I'm kind of more than happy for you to join in with my collaboration. And it's not because I don't want to shout you out. I will shout out anyone who inspires me. But it was this air of entitlement. There's this air of,
you're bigger than me. You have to help me.
Yeah, and I think I expect people to think the way I think, and people don't think the way you think.
Right.
I would never.
I'd never ask for a shout out.
I cannot imagine. Can you imagine starting a YouTube and me, like, emailing, like, I didn't know Jimmy DeResta back then, but can you imagine me emailing Jimmy DeResta and saying, hey Jimmy, you don't know me, I don't know you, but do me a favour and shout me out. Well, it turned out, I said to her, look, I massively appreciate you for messaging me. What I'll do is I'll take a look at your channel, because come on, 104,000 subscribers, 100 aren't watching. So I said, I'll take a look at your channel, but please don't think for a second that I know what I'm doing. I don't. I took a look at her channel. She'd been on mine 4 months.
Wow.
4 months. 800 subs.
What
Honey,
are you worried about? Just keep moving.
You're fine. It took me over a year, well over a year to get my first 1,000 subscribers. I can't explain to people. And I think there's this expectation, this entitled expectation, that's what I'm going to call it. A lot of new channels that contact me, they have this expectation that they're going to hit a 50k in 6 months. Like, there's unrealistic expectations. And I think if you go into YouTube with the mindset of having fun, chilling, relaxing, being engaging, that's so important. It's so important to be engaging with your people. If you go into YouTube with that mindset, then nothing else matters.
Right. I agree with that.
Nothing else matters. You will enjoy it. You'll have fun. You will grow organically. You will get an audience. You'll get your people. You'll find your people, and you will just grow organically. If you go in it with the, I'm going to get through YouTube, and I'm going to get 50,000 subscribers inside 6 months, and if that doesn't happen, I'm quitting. Then you'll quit. Because 99% of people quit in the first year.
Yeah, it's the same with podcasting. Podcasting, you know, there's I want to say, and I'm pretty sure the number is 7 million. There are 7 million podcasts in the Apple podcast directory. And then when you take that number down to how many of them are active, that number drops into the tens of thousands. And how many haven't updated in the last year? It's like, you know, it's you start breaking it down, you realize. And I always talk about this with people who are starting podcasting, because I'm not a YouTube expert, but I'm pretty knowledgeable about the podcasting business. And the magic number for podcasts is 20 episodes.
Wow.
If you make 20 episodes, you will probably keep doing it, because the first 20 episodes, you're basically talking to nobody. And if you don't, a lot of people get to that 20th episode and they realize the work involved and that they're not catching fire immediately, because no one does in the first 20 episodes. If you don't catch fire immediately, you punch out on it, which is fine. Some people don't have the mental energy to pour into an empty bucket constantly and not get anything out of it. I totally understand that. There are times, even now, all these years later, where I feel it about this show, where it's like, I'm not getting anything out of this. Like, I want to stop. But, you know, I get the wake-up calls from my listeners and viewers all the time, and it's very helpful in keeping me centered. But yeah, 20 episodes, that's how many people, you know, you go into it full of piss and vinegar, like you're going to rock the world, you're going to change everything, you're going to do the #1 podcast, and then 20 episodes later, you're hanging it up because you didn't catch fire. But the people that stick with it do stick with it. Anyone who makes it to episode 21 generally does stick with it long term, you know, because those are the people who can survive the nobody's listening phase. You know, I think it's kind of similar for YouTube, where your first few videos, no one's watching you, no one knows you exist. And everyone expects, like, okay, if I do videos every week for a year, someone's going to catch on to me. Maybe. Right? Maybe. That does happen. The more likely scenario is no one's going to catch on to you, and it's going to take you 2 years, 3 years. And you will have that moment where, oh, all of a sudden I'm starting to get traction. But there's no guaranteed timeline for it. People don't have the attention span to put in the effort. You know, which is why if you're not passionate about doing it, don't do it. Because you're just not going to keep doing it. You're going to pour a lot of effort into it initially. You're going to buy a lot of equipment. You're going to spend a lot of money. And you're going to get nothing. If you're passionate about it, you'll do it with your phone in a quiet room, and you'll record voiceovers in a closet if you have to, just to keep going at the beginning. You're laughing because I have a feeling that actually accurately describes.
I film on my phone.
I know you do.
Stopped. I film on my Samsung. I filmed on my Samsung from day one. I got sucked in and bought a Canon. Didn't use it, went back to my phone.
And that's the thing, because you're passionate about it, right? So you knew you didn't have to gear up to do it. You just did it. And I think that's something that a lot of people do, is they get excited about it. They buy all the gear. They get everything ready. They have perfect everything. They learn how to edit even. Some people go through crazy learning how to edit phases with Premiere or Final Cut. Or if they're only doing audio, you know, they do whatever they do, however they do their audio. And it's like, I am putting a ton of effort and money into this. and it's not giving me a return. Whereas if you start with your phone and maybe a lav mic and you're doing your work that way, oh, I've invested $20. I've got nothing to lose.
Yeah.
You know, I don't need this to make money because it didn't cost me a lot to get into.
Yeah. I think I was lucky in the sense that my job before this, anyone who's heard me speak before will know I was an autism, I want to say autism advisor. My role was really elongated.
Mm-hmm.
To cut it short, I was an autism advisor, and we used to do videography. We used to do video assessments, and because of those video assessments, in the 15 years I had this job, we used to record progress over a 1-year period, and then we would make films for the parents to be able to see their child's progress and to see these interactions and these interactive sessions. Anyway, because of that, I was already editing. Again, I'm not a professional editor, but the program that I was using for 15 years in my job is the same program I used. Oh, listen, I'm too old to learn new technology. I'm not about. Everyone's like, "What do you use?" I'm like, Power Director. Director. It's not a new program, but they're updating it. I've just bought the brand new Power Director. So I think I started on like Power Director 10, 15 years ago. It's now Power Director 18, 19, 20. YouTube, they have a YouTube channel. Malik puts videos out every single week. How to learn the new program, how to do this, how to do this, how to speed up, slow down, fade in, fade out. I've learned so much just from him on YouTube. I just already had that skill of basic editing.
Mm-hmm.
Had I not had that skill, I'm not sure I would have had the confidence to even try learning something. I wouldn't have known about it.
That's wild. That's wild. I love it. I love when I hear that people are, doing the thing, whatever the thing is. And it's like, yeah, I'm not $7 million in equipment invested in this. I know you had an arm that used to. I remember when we did the craft show, and I was your basically your producer for that thing, and I remember you setting up, and you're like, yeah, I set it all up. And how did you set it up? You had an arm sitting over the with your camera, with your iPhone sitting, well, your Samsung phone. Sorry, I wouldn't dare call it an iPhone, but your phone pointed down at your hands, and it's like, wait, that's how you do your videos? And you're like, yeah, how else would I do them? It's like, oh, okay, cool.
I have a £9.99 crocodile clip that I attach to a piece of wood that is sat on this shelf, and the other side of the wood is sat on this shelf, and I clip the crocodile clip onto the wood above my head, and then the bendy arm, and my phone hangs here, filming straight down onto my table.
I love it.
That is literally it. And the editing program's Power Director cost £70-80, which is a digital download now, and that's going to last me for as long as it stops working, and then I'll get another one. But I think with my home channel things might be a bit different because I'm doing a lot more far away stuff. I'm doing a lot more like kitchen, clean with me, come walking with me, come shopping with me. So I am at the moment filming on my phone, but when I watch it back on my laptop, I'm like, that's grainy. That's very grainy. And so I have been looking at the best vlogging cameras. I didn't want to have to go down that route, but to grow on my other channel, I'm definitely going to have to do that. So I've already got my eye on a camera that I'm going to get when I get back from Scotland.
But, you're going to Scotland again?
Yeah, I'm going Thursday. I know.
Your sister's in Scotland, right?
Huh?
Your sister's in Scotland.
No, my sister's an hour from me.
Oh, okay. All right.
No one in Scotland. We've got friends in Scotland. I'm going to be meeting up with Moray, Lothian Woodworks, who's a guy on YouTube and friend. I've known him for a few years now. He does all my laser cutting. I'm going to be meeting him. We're actually only staying in Edinburgh. Not only, I can't wait, but we're going to Edinburgh. We're hiring a van, proper van life van. And yeah, we're going to Edinburgh, staying just outside Edinburgh for a week and then coming home. So we were there 2 years ago. We did the whole everywhere.
Ironically, you were there right before we recorded the last time. Because that's why we had to record when we recorded, because you were going to be in Scotland.
yes, that's right, because we went on right at the end of September. But this time we're going for Halloween to Edinburgh to do the ghost tours and all of that. And yeah.
Bet there's a lot of ghosts in Edinburgh.
You're right. It's a very dark city.
Yeah.
The darkness in Edinburgh is seeped in darkness and history. It's lovely.
Very
But
cool.
yeah, so but I wanted to just touch on what you were saying about doing things differently this time around. And I think for a new channel, if anyone is watching that wants to, I'm not sure anyone will still be here. You know, but sorry, I might have sent them to sleep, Vincent. Your views might be down.
I think we're going to be okay.
For starting a new channel, for my home channel, I know it's different because I had my Claire's Crafty Corner backup. I had my audience. I had my people that I already knew were going to come with me because I'd already put the feelers out 6, 7, 8, 9 months before. Like, if I did this, would you come?
Right.
You know, just to give me that initial kind of boost. So I was lucky in that respect. But the one thing I did differently for my new channel, because I started watching videos on how to set up a YouTube channel in 2023. What is the best practice on setting up a channel in 2023? And all of the advice came back to the same kind of thing. You know, forget intros. Intros are done. Videos that have intros do significantly less well than videos that do not have intros. Come straight in, hey, how you doing? You know, that kind of thing. Which is fine because I don't do intros anyway. Intros as in lots and lots of like music and graphics, and the people's attention span has changed since 2020 and it has declined dramatically. So if you've got a 1 minute, 60-second intro, you've lost people. Or they're fast forwarding your video. So all of that, I took that on board, which was okay because I don't have intros anyway. But they also recommended that you pre-film, or at least you have 5 or 6 videos that are all going to go out on launch day. So I took that on board, and I had, on the day of launch for Claire's Crafty Corner, I had literally 5. I wanted 6, but I couldn't quite get 6. I had 5 full 20, 25, 35 minute videos ready to go on launch day. My channel launched at like 5 o'clock, and then 5:05 another video went out, 5:10 another video went out, so on and so forth. And that was me. That was 6 months of promotion, telling everyone this is coming. And that channel, my channel, wasn't due to go out until last month. I wasn't due to launch that channel until September.
Wow.
But everyone was like, no, can't wait that long. No, can't wait that long. You need to launch it now. And I'm like, I'm not ready. I'm not ready yet. I haven't got the videos yet. But that is one advice. That's one piece of advice I'd give anyone if they're looking to set up a channel in 2023, is to have some stuff pre-filmed. Launch 5 videos all at once within half an hour of each other, like stagger them. So for me, I had to stagger them because they were really specific to date and time.
Okay.
This happened first and then this happened. So I had to stagger them out at 5-minute intervals. But what that meant was that on my launch day, I had about 100 people that were ready to sit down and dedicate themselves to all 5 videos that were waiting for them on my channel. And that gave me such an amazing boost in the algorithm.
Sure.
It shot me straight in, and already 2,000 subscribers. Like, it's crazy in 2 months. Crazy. That would be my advice. Get ready, have videos ready.
That sounds like, that's actually something I don't think anyone's really thought of. That's actually really good advice. Yeah, I love it. I love that it comes from someone who's been there too, which is great.
Sorry, I am talking way too much, Vincent. I am so sorry. I'm like totally.
You're all good.
Also, it's been a while since I've had a cup of tea, so.
I do want to take a second and thank the people that support this show financially, and those people include Best Man Al Schultz from New York Woodworks, Scott Oram from Dad It Yourself DIY, Ed Swanson from Ed's Clocks and More, Nick Birchtold from Birchtold Design Build, Tori Decker from Tori Did It, Jake Drews of Make with Jake, Meg and Chris from Onyx Designs Woodwork, Christian Neary of Warren Works, Ken Madden of Mad K Studios, David Wood of DW Wood Builds, Dean Duplantis, Jeff Stein, a.k.a. A Weird Guy, Kim and Garrett from Kim and Garrett Make It, Rory Langefeld of RLO Woodworks and DIY, Robert J. Keller, Brian Arsenault, the Seven Hills Maker, Dave Bauer of Dave Bauer Art, Donald LeBlanc of Fun with Woodworking, Ross Cave, Miguel Angel Vilela, Jeremy Speece, Grant Alexander from the Clamp Podcast, Brad Harrison of Brad's Customs, Billy Polton of Polton Projects, Eric Peterson of Overall Makerworks, and Earl Van Alstine. Thank you so much for supporting the show financially. I couldn't do this without you, and I wouldn't want to do this without you. If you have a moment, share the show, do the things, do all the things. Claire and I are on a very hard out because we're recording with something other than I normally record with, and we have 2 minutes of recording time left before it's going to cut us off. So I would normally not rap this hard. However, I'm going to do it this time. Claire, where can people find you, and where can people keep up with what you're up to?
Claire's Crafty Corner on pretty much every platform. So Claire's Crafty Corner on YouTube, Claire's Crafty Corner, Instagram, and then you'll find my other channel, At Home with Claire. So if you really love anything home, DIY, upcycles, mostly DIY, clean with me's, shop with me's, come find me.
Brilliant. And I will have, of course, Claire's links in the show notes so that you can go find her wherever better YouTube videos are found. Claire, thank you so much for popping in. We had a lot of technical difficulties getting started, but we did get one out.
Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you for listening.
I'm going to go and get a coffee.
Coffee. Go get a coffee. No, you don't drink coffee.
I'm going to get a
Stop
coffee.
It.
Stop it. You stop it. You hang out.
Thank you so much for
This was fun.
It's always a hoot, Claire. It's always a hoot. Thank you so much for listening, watching, however you consume the show. I will be back again next week. Until then, have a great week, everybody, and I will see you then.